when a talented Black employee is unfairly demoted by her prejudiced boss, it seems like yet another case of workplace discrimination. Until her extraordinary background is revealed, setting off a chain of events that leaves the boss demoted, the company transformed, and justice served in the most unexpected way. The office of Sterling Dynamics buzzed with the low hum of keyboards and muted conversations. Situated in the heart of the city, it was a mid-sized corporate firm that prided itself on professionalism and results. Despite the polished exterior, the workplace operated under an unspoken hierarchy, where some employees basked in favor, while others struggled to climb the corporate ladder. At the helm was Mr. Charles Anderson, the CEO. In his mid-50s, Charles carried himself with an air of stern authority. His sharp suits and cold demeanor exuded power, and his decisions were rarely questioned. However, whispers among employees painted a different picture, of a man who played favorites and overlooked talent when it didn't fit his mold. Subtle, yet palpable, his biases created an undercurrent of discomfort, particularly among employees from diverse backgrounds. Among the team was Mia Johnson, a Black woman in her late 20s, whose talent and ambition stood out in a sea of mediocrity. With a reputation for solving complex problems and leading projects to success, she had earned the respect of her peers. Mia's sharp analytical skills, combined with her ability to inspire teamwork, made her a standout employee. Despite her excellence, Mia often found herself at odds with Charles. In meetings, her ideas were met with dismissive glances or curt interruptions. "Let's hear from someone else," he'd say, brushing aside her carefully crafted suggestions. While her colleagues admired her perseverance, few dared to challenge the unspoken dynamic. The tension between Mia and Charles grew over time. To the casual observer it was subtle, a misplaced comment here, an ignored achievement there. But to Mia, it was clear. No matter how hard she worked, she would never fit into the narrow vision Charles had for his leadership team. The success of the Falcon Initiative was a turning point for Sterling Dynamics. A high-stakes project, it involved securing a lucrative partnership with a major client, a task that had seemed almost unattainable. Mia Johnson had taken the lead, pouring months of effort into meticulous planning, innovative strategies, and fostering a collaborative spirit among her team. When the deal was finalized, the project brought in millions in revenue, earning accolades from the client and cementing Sterling Dynamics' reputation in the industry. The team gathered in the conference room a week later for what they expected to be a celebratory meeting. The air was filled with anticipation as Charles Anderson strode to the front of the room, his expression unreadable. As he began speaking, his tone took an unexpected turn. Instead of recognizing Mia's contributions, he abruptly announced her demotion. "Mia Johnson," he said, his voice clipped, "will no longer be serving in her managerial role. Effective immediately, she will transition to a lower-level position. The decision comes after a thorough review of her performance, which, frankly, has not met expectations." A stunned silence swept across the room. Colleagues exchanged uneasy glances, disbelief etched on their faces. Mia sat frozen, her heart pounding, but her expression remained composed. After the meeting, Mia approached Charles privately. "I'd like to understand the basis of this decision," she said, her voice steady despite the anger simmering beneath. Charles leaned back in his chair, his gaze cold. "Mia, you're good at what you do, but you're not leadership material," he said dismissively. "This is what's best for the company." Mia left the room, hurt but determined. The injustice burned in her, but she resolved to find a way to fight back. Mia knew she couldn't let the unfair demotion define her career. Determined to address the situation professionally, she decided to escalate the matter discreetly. After gathering her evidence, she reached out to a trusted contact on the company's board of directors. Her message was clear and composed, highlighting her concerns about the unjust decision and requesting an opportunity to discuss her contributions and qualifications. It didn't take long for the board to convene an impromptu meeting. Mia was invited to present her case, a daunting but necessary step to defend her integrity. As she entered the sleek, glass-walled conference room, she carried herself with calm confidence, her carefully prepared portfolio in hand. During the meeting, Mia began by outlining her role in the Falcon Initiative. highlighting the measurable results her leadership had delivered. She then delved into her background, presenting credentials that left the board visibly impressed. A summa cum laude graduate from one of the nation's most prestigious universities, with a degree in business administration. An MBA from a top-tier institution, accompanied by numerous awards for leadership, innovation, and strategic thinking. A track record of successful projects in every role she had undertaken at Sterling Dynamics. What truly stood out, however, was her work outside the company. Mia revealed her connections to high-ranking corporate and legal circles, forged through years of philanthropic efforts with influential organizations. These connections not only underscored her professionalism, but also positioned her as a respected figure beyond the company walls. By the end of her presentation, the board was visibly moved. Mia's achievements and composure left no room for doubt about her capabilities. It was clear that her demotion wasn't about her performance, it was about something far more troubling. The board members couldn't shake their unease after Mia's presentation. Her impeccable credentials and the success of her recent project painted a stark contrast to the claims of poor performance made by Charles. Realizing the gravity of the situation, they decided to investigate further. Quietly, an internal audit was launched to review Charles Anderson's leadership practices. Over the course of several weeks, troubling patterns began to emerge. Records revealed a history of disproportionately low performance ratings for minority employees under his supervision. Promising employees had been overlooked for promotions in favor of less qualified individuals who shared a similar background to Charles. Complaints of favoritism and subtle discrimination, once dismissed as isolated incidents, now formed a clear and undeniable trend. Witness interviews painted an even more damning picture. Employees described instances where Charles had undermined talented individuals, particularly women and minorities, while elevating those who aligned with his biases. Many admitted they hadn't spoken up out of fear of retaliation, but Mia's courage had inspired them to share their experiences. The board acted swiftly. Charles was summoned to an emergency meeting, the tone of which was markedly different from the ones he was used to leading. As he entered the room, the composed yet stern expressions of the board members hinted at the seriousness of the matter. During the meeting, the evidence was laid bare. Performance reviews, promotion records, and testimony from employees painted a picture of systematic bias. Charles's justifications were weak and defensive, failing to convince the board. "We hold every leader in this company to the highest standard," one board member stated firmly. "Your actions have betrayed the trust placed in you." For the first time, Charles was forced to confront the consequences of his actions, realizing that his power was slipping away. The fallout from the board's investigation was swift and decisive. Within days of the meeting, Charles Anderson was removed from his position as CEO. A formal announcement was made to the company, citing the findings of the internal investigation and reiterating Sterling Dynamics' commitment to equity and fairness. While Charles was officially given the option to resign, the writing was on the wall. His career at the company was over. For the employees, his departure was a moment of relief. Whispers of vindication spread through the office, as many who had suffered under his leadership finally felt seen. His favoritism and discriminatory practices, long tolerated in silence, were now exposed for all to see. Meanwhile, Mia Johnson received the recognition she had long deserved. The board formally reinstated her to her managerial position, publicly acknowledging her critical role in the Falcon Initiative and her exceptional contributions to the company. As a gesture of goodwill and an effort to rectify the injustice, they also offered her a promotion to a senior leadership role. Mia accepted the promotion with grace, her composure intact despite the tumultuous journey. The news was met with widespread support from her colleagues, many of whom expressed admiration for her resilience and professionalism. Now a senior manager, Mia quickly set to work, creating a more inclusive and empowering workplace culture. She began mentoring younger employees, especially those from underrepresented backgrounds, ensuring that no one would have to face the obstacles she had endured. As for Charles, his resignation marked the end of his influence at Sterling Dynamics. Stripped of his title and reputation, He was left to reflect on the consequences of his actions. The story closed with justice served and Mia's triumph, a testament to perseverance and integrity. Mia stepped into her new role with a clear mission: to create a workplace where talent and dedication were the only criteria for success. Drawing from her own experiences, she implemented policies aimed at fostering diversity, equity, and inclusion. Regular training sessions were introduced to educate employees about unconscious bias and the importance of a supportive work environment. Open-door policies encouraged employees to voice their concerns without fear of retaliation. Under her leadership, the atmosphere at Sterling Dynamics began to shift. Teams became more collaborative, and employees from all backgrounds felt empowered to contribute their ideas. Mia's unwavering commitment to fairness inspired others, and her success became a beacon of hope for those who had faced similar struggles. Colleagues who had remained silent during her ordeal approached Mia, expressing their regret. "I should have spoken up," one coworker admitted, their voice tinged with guilt. Others shared similar sentiments, offering apologies and pledging their support for the culture she was building. Mia, ever gracious, accepted their words with understanding, knowing that real change required collective effort. Meanwhile, Charles Anderson faced the stark reality of his choices. Once a powerful figure, he now struggled to find work, his reputation tarnished by the revelations. Alone in his reflection, he began to see the harm caused by his prejudice, not just to Mia, but to others he had wronged. Though redemption wouldn't come easily, the seeds of self-awareness had been planted. The story concluded with a powerful message: justice had prevailed, and Mia's courage in standing against discrimination had sparked lasting change. Her journey was a reminder that integrity and perseverance could overcome even the most entrenched biases, paving the way for a brighter, more equitable future.